Several weeks of intense religious violence that resulted in the death of as many as 2,000 people, and at the centre of the controversy, even over 20 years later, the current Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi. It began in February 2002 when 59 Hindu nationalist pilgrims, many women and children, were burnt to death on a train. Whoever was responsible, Hindu fundamentalists quickly accused the country's Muslim minority of being to blame. It sparked the worst religious riots the country has seen since its independence. Entire neighbourhoods were destroyed, families murdered, women and children raped. Narendra Modi was a key figure. He was Chief Minister of the state of Gujarat at the time, accused by many of doing nothing, even encouraging the violence. That's something he has always denied. Indeed, in 2012, a special investigation team appointed by the Supreme Court cleared him of complicity in the riots. There have been a number of inquiries, reports and court cases, each accused of being biased by those unhappy with the conclusions and results. Was the fire the result of a Muslim conspiracy? Was it just an accident? Was the resulting violence premeditated by Hindu extremists? Why were the police unable or unwilling to stop it? The issue remains traumatic, right in the forefront of the minds of many. Leah Delfolly and Cancer Unit revisit Gujarat for France 24.
I remember everything. I used to sit here and pray during the month of Muharram. I used to read the Quran for 40 days.
It has been years since Zakia Jafri last visited her home in Gulberg Society, a residential complex located in Ahmedabad, in the western Indian state of Gujarat. On February 28, 2002, a mob of Hindu extremists attacked this Muslim-majority neighbourhood.
At the time when the assailants started to arrive, they threw stones. Then all the inhabitants in the neighbourhood hid in our house. People shouted, "Allah, Allah." Then my husband told me to go and hide upstairs. I stood on the balcony and from there I watched. They dragged him and tortured him. They cut his hand and tortured him and then set fire to the house. I was watching it all.
Zakia Jafri survived the violence. However, her husband, Ehsan Jafri, a former member of parliament for the Congress party, was brutally murdered that day, along with 69 other people. Half of the bodies were never recovered. At the Gulberg Society, there's another miraculous survivor, Rafiq Mansoori.
This is my wife standing next to me. This is my son on my mother's lap. He was 5 months old. The whole family was killed.
Rafiq's 5-month-old son, his wife, and all the other 19 family members were burnt alive by the rioters. His family sought refuge in Ehsan Jafri's house when the violence erupted.
Mr. Jafri came out and told the crowd, "You can kill me, but please spare the children and women." But the rioters did not listen. To save us, Mr. Jafri called Modi, all the leaders, all the ministers. You can check his call record.
22 years after the massacre, the neighborhood is still desolate and abandoned. Nature has reclaimed its rights, and the charred buildings remain the silent witness to the violence. Rafiq, along with his son Atif, born after the riots, and father Qasim, decided to stay in Gulberg. Once home to around 100 residents, they are now the sole inhabitants here. Despite their losses, the family received a mere 22,000 euros in compensation.
Even if someone offers me €1 billion, I'd refuse to leave this place. What would I do with that money when my whole family's gone? This place reminds me of my children. I'll never leave here. I didn't inherit this property from my grandparents to sell it to someone else. I'm going to live here. This government does nothing but divide people along religious lines.
Okay.
Victims of the riots only received justice in 2016, when a special court sentenced 24 people to prison. However, dozens of others were acquitted, including members of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party, the BJP. Rafiq takes us to Naroda Patia, just 5 kilometers away from Gulberg, another Muslim neighbourhood that was targeted and where nearly 100 people were murdered. Salim was 28 years old when several members of his family were killed in the attack carried out by over 5,000 Hindu extremists.
We witnessed the biggest riots in Gujarat. I can't even begin to talk about how they killed women and children. They took advantage of this to promote their party. They became heroes of Hindutva, that is to say Hindu nationalism, and promoted the party all over India.
He is convinced that the 2002 pogrom helped Narendra Modi, then Chief Minister of Gujarat, to climb the political ladder using the rift between Hindus and Muslims.
Until February the 27th, 2002, nobody knew Modi in Gujarat. Modi became the hero of some Hindu organizations after the riots. These organizations led the riots, but Modi helped them get bail. He didn't punish them. He got their cases thrown out and became a hero for them.
Long suspected of instructing the police not to intervene and to allow atrocities against Muslims to continue. In 2012, Narendra Modi was cleared of complicity in the Gujarat riots case by the Supreme Court. He even won Gujarat elections 3 times in a row between 2002 and 2012 before becoming Prime Minister of India in 2014. Among the hundreds of people accused of orchestrating the 2002 massacres, across the state, many were affiliated with the Wish for Hindu Parishad, an extremist right-wing party founded on the idea of Hindu nationalism.
I'm proud of this photo. I'm also proud of Mr. Modi because I know him and he knows me. He has worked in Gujarat. We believe that India should be respected by the whole world, and he's working for that. That's what I admire.
Jaideep Patel was the General Secretary of the VHP at that time. This is the first time he has agreed to give an interview to a news channel since then. 22 years later, he still accuses Muslims of being behind the train fire that killed Hindu pilgrims and sparked the pogrom, despite various investigations suggesting the possibility of an accidental fire.
Those in Godhra who say it was an accident, no, it wasn't an accident. It was well planned. Politicians and leaders who were against Hindus came up with this theory that it was an accident. They want to put Hindus in danger and defend Muslims. That's what some political leaders and parties do. This is how they think and act.
In 2009, Jaideep Patel was convicted of murder and of planning the attack in Naroda, hours after the train fire.
They accused me of being here and causing riots in Naroda village, but I wasn't here. Many people tried to implicate me. There was a conspiracy to implicate me because I was doing Hindutva work.
Patel was eventually acquitted in 2023. However, he never ceased his activities within the VHP. We follow him to the village of Pimpuri in southern Gujarat. Here, he is leading a religious ceremony performed before the beginning of any construction work, in this case, for the school financed by his organization.
भारत माता की जय चंद्र भगवान की जय
But behind this social program lies an attempt at religious indoctrination. This region is inhabited by tribal populations, and most of them do not follow Hinduism.
We pray before eating the food, and in the evening, too, we remember God. Our motive is education and culture. We work according to the Hindu culture. And in doing so, society should achieve its highest level of success, even for the children of the tribal people.
Jaideep Patel says he wants to provide education to poor people residing in the remote areas of Gujarat. However, from adolescence onwards, children must follow the teachings of Hindu fundamentalism.
We're taught that you can't marry a Muslim. A Hindu can marry a Hindu, and a Muslim can marry a Muslim.
In my old school, there was much more emphasis on education than religion. We used to focus on education, but now we're taught religion.
An apparent attempt to convert members of the tribal community under the guise of development and education. Jaideep strongly advocates for the spread of Hinduism, fearing that this majority religion is threatened by Christianity and Islam.
Religious conversions are taking place. Some people want separatism in the country. They have separatist tendencies, and after separatism, they promote anti-nationalist values. Whoever carries out religious conversions, we will never allow them to achieve this.
While several Hindu extremists, including Jaideep Patel, were ultimately exonerated, the quest for justice for Muslim victims has been extremely difficult. Among the most notable cases is that of Bilkis Bano. In New Delhi, Subhashini Ali, a member of the Communist Party, filed a petition in support of Bilkis Bano. She was 5 months pregnant when she was gang raped by 11 of her Hindu neighbors during the riots. In a controversial decision by the Gujarat High Court, they were given early release.
Rape victims have always faced a lot of difficulties. That is not something that is unusual. What is unusual is that after the BJP has come to power, the first thing is that they protect their own supporters and their own members to the hilt. Perpetrators are Hindus and the victim is a Muslim, as in the case of the Bilkis Bano case, then that also becomes very obvious that that is the kind of approach they will have, that it will be the perpetrators who are protected, not the victim.
Back in Ahmedabad, we meet Zakia Jafri. She now lives with her daughter Nishreen, 10 kilometers away from Gulberg Society.
Your son looks so much like him.
I took this picture. This was in 2001. I love this picture.
Don't cry now.
And that's my Abba, Musliman member of parliament. न कभी उसके बाद में कोई member of parliament मुसलमान यहाँ से चुनकर गया, न उसके पहले कभी कोई था. उनको लोग इतना जानते थे, इतना पसंद करते थे.
85 years old Zakia Jafri is still determined to fight for the conviction of India's current Prime Minister for his alleged complicity in the 2002 Gujarat riots.
We're still fighting. Whenever there is a hearing at court, I go along with my son. As long as I'm alive, I'll fight.
इतने कोर्ट के चक्कर लगाए कि अभी वो अगर देखते कि अम्मी उनके लिए कितना लड़ रहे हैं, तो वो सोचते कि देखो ज़किया मेरे लिए कितना कोर्ट में गई है.
In June 2022, the Supreme Court rejected the initial plea to reopen the case and investigate Narendra Modi's alleged role in the violence.
Ehsan Hussain Alabaks Jafri, 2/28/2002. It's a big scar in the Indian history. They can pretend that they're forgetting, they can pretend that it never happened, but they can never erase it.
While communal riots are not new to India, the violence in Gujarat continues to leave its mark on the country and is regularly cited as an example of the true face of the Hindu extremist.
Leah Delfoley and Hansa Unit revisiting Gujarat for France 24. Well, that's all from this week's edition. You can catch it and all the previous editions as well on our website at france24.com. There's more news coming up in just a moment. Thanks for watching.